Hello everyone and welcome back to the second episode of our Distant Worlds Universe Let's Play. Last time around we got our initial system set up and what did we get done? We had our research station built, our medium starport constructed, we got a few mining stations and such built up, which is fantastic. So I'm just going to get the game running again. And just before we finished the last episode, we actually queued up a construction ship to build a resort base over on this planet over here, which has a plus 36% scenery bonus. So I think that extra income is going to prove quite useful given that we're playing on extreme difficulty. So I think that any extra income we can have will be absolutely fantastic. So that is good. So our planet is now up to 6.8 billion people. We have finished research on storage systems and now moving on to... Oh no, we had a crash course, made a critical breakthrough, so we're going to basically finish storage systems far more quickly. So that's good. So warp field precursors are probably about 3/4 of the way through now, which is good. So once those are finished, we'll definitely build some more exploration ships and fit out the rest of our ships and such stuff like that. So we finished our mining station over here. Which is good, so we can get a really good source of Caslon, so 97% resource collection rate, which is absolutely brilliant, so that is really, really good. We are now going to send our construction ship just back to our planet, and by the time it gets back there, actually well and truly before that, we'll have warp field precursors, or our first hyperdrives, and we'll be able to fit out our construction ships with some hyperdrives, which will be lots and lots of fun. So, have our exploration ship coming back to refuel, which is good. Just finished our fuel cells, or our standard storage system, which is our standard fuel cells. Now moving on to colonization. So we'll get that out nice and quickly, and then get into our first couple of planets over here. So it is generally, or potentially sometimes, a problem to actually expand too quickly. So if you build too many colonies, that's because they are a drain on your resources early on. So if you sort of build too many to start with, you can actually end up running out of money. So it's something you want to be sort of definitely aware of. So we've actually finished our, I think it's our 2 defense. Yep. So we finished our 2 defense. Our first 2 initial defensive technologies down here. So for our ground units, we're actually going to queue up planetary defense units. So this may be a little bit of an overkill. But I'm just really keen to sort of get these out so we can sort of get some of those in our planets, and especially our colonies once they appear. Also had a troop general appear, which is our first, so that's good. So just leave them at our home planet, which is Trantor. So I hope that all of you who have read the Isaac Asimov series, the Foundation series, and all that kind of stuff, even the Robot series and all that kind of all those brilliant sci-fi books, know that the Trantor was the capital of the Galactic Empire, and yes, hopefully we sort of go a little bit of a different way than what they did, because the plan ended up being ruined and destroyed, so hopefully we do a little bit better than that. I've had a new leader elected, so I was going to check out their traits. So they've got quite a few. So they've got good increased military base maintenance savings, negative diplomacy, increased colony happiness and income, and increased trade income and civilian ship construction speed, but negative colony corruption reduction. So generally there, I think the positives outweigh the negatives, so that's quite good. Would have been nice to get a population increase, given that we're only running at plus 8%, but it's sort of just how we are at the moment. We were starting to run out of money, so actually going to boost our tax rate. Actually going to put this up to 50% because we have quite a bit of happiness there to deal with, so we're going to put that to 50%, put up our money just a little bit more quickly, and that's quite good. So anyone who's watching, I'd love to hear how your experiences are, if you've ever played on Extreme, or just how you're finding the game in general, or if you've never actually picked it up, what you actually think of the game. So I had someone comment on one of the last Let's Play series that they hadn't played the game but quite interested, and actually waiting for a new game called Stellaris, which is going to be released by Paradox Studios. For anyone who doesn't know, Paradox Studios make the most amazing strategy games ever. So they make the Crusader Kings and Europa Universalis and the Hearts of Iron series and all that kind of stuff. So they're absolutely brilliant games. Love them to death. Definitely my favourite development studios. So they're actually releasing their first ever sort of space strategy game, so it's going to be enormously interesting to see what they do with it there. So, but from the early looks, it actually looks probably a lot more similar, not just to me personally. It's obviously not going to be released for quite a while. Just for the early looks, actually probably it's going to be a little bit more closer to Galactic Civilizations 3 than Distant Worlds. So I think Distant Worlds is an extremely unique game in terms of how it's made. And a lot of, I think, and this is no disrespect, but I think a lot of sort of big studios wouldn't actually make a game like this manner. Like a lot of, like the user interface and like a lot of descriptions and the way the tech tree is done, it's not particularly friendly. And I think just a lot of big development studios, which Paradox is these days, would design things a little bit differently. And even the scale, I just think the scope of the game, like a lot of games just couldn't do this these days. Just have this sheer scale and just the way that the whole empire and the whole galaxy sort of basically runs and all that kind of stuff. So, but it will be enormously interesting to see what they do. So I'm definitely holding out for that one. Right, we've had our first resort base finished, which is brilliant. We're now going to automate our construction ship there. Actually, no, we won't. We are going to send them back to our home base or our home planet in preparation for hyperdrives being completed very, very shortly. So it's really good there. So we should have some passenger ships queued up quite quickly, and then we'll get a bunch of bonus income there, which is going to be very, very good. So we've now completed hyperspace technology, so we now get hyperdrives, which is absolutely brilliant. We've also had Discovery has produced a new scientist, which is good, so we'll check them out in a minute. If you want to read this text, just pause the video now, otherwise I'll get out of it. There we go, and we're just going to check out our new scientist first, because it's the first one we've had. So we're going to move them to our general research. So they've actually got weapons research, and that's all they've got at the moment, which is fine, but it's a little bit of a bonus. So if we come into energy construction now, what are we going to do? I think we're going to come into space construction. So we get increased ship and base sizes and also improvements to some of our plants and build speed and stuff like that. So I think that's the best one to do. Then we're probably going to move up into better reactors and then shields and then new hyperdrives and then new engines and sort of just work our way along like that. So what we're going to do, we've got a little bit of money. Hopefully it's enough to get all of our retrofits done. First thing we're going to do, come into our state ships, into our exploration ship, which is going to auto upgrade first and then manually upgrade. What we're going to do, we're going to put on our first hyperdrive, which is brilliant. We need a fair bit of extra energy, so we're going to go up to probably there just to max it out. Actually, no, we won't. We're going to take one of those off. So there we are. So we're 1924, so we're just under the maximum. But given that we've only got a certain ship size that we can have at the moment, that's what we're going to sort of have to run with. So that should be fine. I don't think we really need to make any other changes to the ship, so I think that's good. We're going to also fit out our construction ship, adding a warp bubble and also a few more reactors. So there we go. Also need a life support and hab module. And that's all we need for that one. So that is good. We're also going to save that one. Won't do any escort ships at the moment, although we will need those soon, but we might sort of queue those up a little bit later. And now we're going to come into our private ship. So this is going to take a little bit of time, guys, but it's sort of something that you have to do. Well, I prefer to do manually anyway. So basically it's just putting on warp hyperdrives onto our private ships. And we can't have ones that size, so that is a bit of a problem. We are going to have to wait for... Can't really take anything off, so what we're going to do, we're just going to scrap that. We're going to wait for our next construction level, which is why I generally get it a little bit earlier, which is this one. So we can actually build ships big enough to actually house our hyperdrive. So we're just going to have to wait for that for a little while. So what we're going to do, we're going to retrofit this exploration ship, then we are going to come to our 2 construction ships, and we're going to retrofit both of those. There we go, like that. I think that's all for now. Now, what we're going to do now, we are also going to come into our construction yards and queue up. So we've got one, we're going to queue up another 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 exploration ships. So we'll have 8 in total. So that's basically all of our money. So, but that's definitely worth it. So it means that we have 7 exploration ships that can get out there and start exploring the galaxy. So explore some planets around here, see where we are, see what's happening, see if there's any good colonies around that we can maybe take early, and go from there. So it is, like, if you guys have never played the game, it is a feature of this game that we don't have to worry about these planets in our system being colonized by other empires. I think we're actually going to say no. No, we'll say no. We'll say no for now. I think we can use the money in better ways. So like I was saying, it is a feature of this game that if colonizable planets actually lay within your influence range, so you can actually sort of see this blue little ring, maybe a little bit hard to see around here. This system is within our influence range, and if a colony lies within your influence range, it means that another empire is actually not able to colonize that planet. So definitely different to Galactic Civilizations 3, in which case you actually can colonize planets within other people's systems, so that's fine. So we made our first hyper jump, and we've also released the giant couters. So where are they located, guys? Where are they? Looks like they're over here. There we go. So we've got 2 of them. So what we're going to do, we're going to retrofit a couple of escorts to our state ships and just auto upgrade and then manually. Going to put on a warp bubble and then a few more reactors. No, that's just, there we go, that's good enough. So we've only got 230 size. So I think what we're going to do is actually put on 100 armor and then maybe just a couple of shields like that. Although I'd prefer to actually put it on another blaster. There we go. So we can't have any more than 230. But now I actually need to put on habitation, don't we? So I actually take off a few armor, put on a life support and hab module, and put on back on 1 armor. There we go. So that's just like a really simple sort of early ship, just to basically deal with these giant counters over here. Otherwise, they're going to wreak havoc with some of our other ships. So we're just going to build, I believe, 3 of them if we've got the money, which we do. Let's queue up 1, 2, 3 escorts, and then we're coming to our ships and bases screen, to military ships, and we're going to put all of those, actually just the 3 escorts, into a new fleet, which is our first fleet, and then that's good. So click on first fleet, click on stop just to take it off automated. And you can see that all of our exploration ships here are coming out into the galaxy. If you're sort of playing your game and you're wondering what these arrows are, it's actually down here on the bottom right, just above the minimap. It's got show fleet postures on. Actually, no, that's wrong. It's show travel vectors for state ships. There we are. So you can actually toggle these off. So basically it just means that for ships that you actually own, so state ships, you can actually see where they're going. So otherwise, if you sort of turn this off, it's really difficult to actually see where they're going. So always play with that on. So it's a big help. So there we go. So that's all those. We just leave them to get out and explore. They're all automated, I believe. Is this one? Yes, it is. You should be out doing stuff. There we go. Our escorts should finish quite quickly. We've had one of our construction ships finish. So we're actually going to automate that now, and that can go off and do its own thing. And everything else is going pretty well. So we've encountered giant counters, attacking one of our gas mining ships, which is why we built some escorts to deal with those. So we should have our escorts come out pretty quickly. I'm actually going to turn off or lower our tax rate back down to 0. Like that, so we get our population increasing. So sorry, I was just looking there as our fleet. So I've had our escorts build. They're going to jump over and deal with these counters quite easily or quite quickly, hopefully. There we go. So they should take out the counters relatively quickly. Take a little bit of damage, a fair bit of damage actually. These ones are a bit brutal, aren't they? I think it's because we're playing on extreme, so it's probably a little bit more difficult. So we've counted the Ancient Guardians. These are sort of a story-based race. They are incredibly more advanced, incredibly more powerful than most empires in the galaxy for most of the game. So you don't want to mess with them, but the good thing is they don't leave their home system. So if you want to read this text in here, I'll sort of just leave it like this. If you want to pause the game. And there we go. There we go, and get out of that one. So we're actually going to have to scrap this one because it's busted. So we're just going to scrap immediately. So it's a bit of a waste of our escorts, but we haven't really got too much of a choice there. So hopefully we can take this one out here without losing any more escorts. Yep, run away if you can. Come on, take it out quickly. Yep, and we got it. Cool. There we go. So I'm actually going to send this back to repair. That's interesting. You can definitely tell the difference on extreme. So I normally don't have any problems taking them out on with 3 escorts. Alright, the Ancient Guardians have offered us a secret warning. So we say, tell us more. So okay, Mechanoid share important warning. The Dark Ones of ancient times long to return. They seek a pathway back to dominate all. Beware of unknown monuments and beacons that light the way. Be prepared for the revenge of the destroyers. That's sort of a campaign story thing that won't sort of really come into effect for quite a while. Ignore the cat, guys, and everything else is going pretty well. So population is increasing fairly quickly, getting a bit of bonus income from our resort, so 3,000 this year, which is good. We've now researched space construction, which means that we can now come in and retrofit our private ships properly. There we are, private ships. So we're going to manually upgrade, put on our warp bubble, and then put on a few more reactors, put on probably just 2 more there. And why can't we build that? 276 maximum size 230. I thought that was what... Hold on, guys. What's happened? Space construction. hasn't actually finished yet. It mustn't have actually. Hold on. I think it's just got to sort of tick over a little bit. Finish. What's happening? There we go. I only made a critical breakthrough. Sorry, I was completely misreading that text. So critical breakthrough, which meant it researched faster, but it sort of just happened to occur when it almost finished anyway. So now we can come into our ships and retrofit all of these. So we can put on a warp bubble, generator, and 2 reactors, and now also a life support and hab module. There we go. And just save that one. Do the same for our medium freighter. Warp bubble, 2 reactors, and life support hab module. Save. And warp bubble, 2 reactors, life support hab module. Save. Actually, now that I think about it, what we're going to do. There's a little bit of a mistake of mine. Actually, clicking auto upgrade sort of added in some extra cargo components into these. So they're meant to be small, medium, and large. They've actually all got the same cargo mount at the moment. So what I'm going to come in, I'm actually going to sort of make them small, medium, large. So I'm going to put 3,000 on the small, 4,000 on the medium, and 5,000 on the large. So there we go. Just sort of give the private sector a little bit of diversity in what they want to do. Passenger ship in a warp bubble, and then 2 reactors, and that should be fine. And the same as before. Save. Gas mining ship, the same. Warp bubble, 2 reactors, 3 reactors for this one, just to get it up to the high enough speed, and then a couple of life support hab module, and finally this one, and 3 reactors for that one as well. And save that one. So there we go. That's pretty much all that we need to do for now. So we're just going to come out of there, click that. Private sector will automatically upgrade their own ships. We've now got some research available. What we're going to do, so we've now got planetary defense units, so we're going to queue up a couple of those quite quickly. What I think we're going to grab next is actually gravitic weapons, and then we're going to come down to tractor beams, get those on our starports quite quickly, and I think that's going to be a big help for us. So we've got our space construction. I think we're going to come up to advanced nuclear fission, then enhanced shields, then new hyperdrives, then 2 engines and thrusters. Then we'll come into this and get a bunch of these techs as well. I think it's probably better to go for that for now. Cool, so what we're going to do, we're going to queue up 2 planetary defense units. We are going to garrison those, and we're actually going to get rid of our green one and keep our experienced infantry. So save us a little bit of money there. So escort's been completed, so one of our things. I'm actually going to build another 2 escorts, if we can afford it. Yep, there we go. Build another 2, just so I have a small fleet if we sort of need to deal with anything that we can. Then we're going to add those into our first fleet. So we've got 4 ships now. Just going to tell those to move to our planet, so they'll sort of follow our planet around in orbit, which will be good. Almost out of money again, so we're going to have to, unfortunately, actually no, we're going to wait. We're going to wait for hopefully our private sector to either build more ships or retrofit them, get a bit of bonus income. If it doesn't happen quickly, we may need to put our tax rate back up. But like, I'm not sure if I mentioned this, guys, but it is sort of a compound effect. So the more population you have, the more tax income you get every time you sort of tax burst, which means that less time you need to do it, and therefore the more time that you can actually increase your population. So the more that you can increase your population, or the longer periods that you can do that for, the better off you're going to be. But we're running out of money very quickly, so I unfortunately have no choice but to raise it back up to 50. Just check the unhappiness, and that's drop it down to 45, and there we go, that's good. Yeah, it's definitely noticing the difference on extreme. It's sort of obviously happiness or growth rates are a little bit lower, and income's a little bit lower as well. So we got our frigate there. We are going to just leave that, it's fine, won't worry about that. And just going to jump out and check our system out here. So explored quite a few planets already. I have to look at our range as well, actually what range we have on our ships. So that's fine. So we're actually going to check this one and then this one. So we may actually retrofit our exploration ships to have bigger fuel cells. I think it may be worth doing that once we get a little bit of money, but that is. And yeah, that's all good. Jump into troops. What's our maintenance? So 3960. That's actually quite a bit, isn't it? It's probably a little bit too much, given that we don't really have a whole lot of income. So I'm actually going to disband one of those. That's a little bit of a waste of money, but I think it's probably better for now. What's our troops? So 990, so about 1,000 credits. And disband that one as well. I'm just going to stick with one planetary defense unit, which I think is going to be better than 2 infantry. So it's a little bit of extra income for us. Once we build up some money, we will definitely retrofit our exploration ships, but it's going to cost a bit of money, so I have to wait for that for a little while. Got our 4 escort ships in our fleet, which is good. And yeah, cool. Everything's going quite well. Yeah, so it's going to be very interesting to see how the, sort of this central location actually works out for us over the course of the game. Whether it's it's sort of a good thing or a bad thing. Like sometimes you may sort of think it is sort of automatically better to be in the center, but actually sometimes it can be really quite beneficial to start out here, because then you're not really not under threat as much, and there's generally more pirates around the inner areas. So if you can start on an outer sector and then actually build in, you can actually sort of be better off some of the times. But I mean, it just depends. Depends how you play the game and all that kind of stuff. Depends what you want to do. I suppose they got quite a bit of range, don't they? 390 fuel. We probably don't really need to retrofit them. They can still cover quite a few stars from this area. Alright, we're just going to leave them for the moment. Leave them, see how they go. So we've researched gravitic weapons, and they're going to now come into tractor beams. Once they're done, we'll put them on our spaceports, research stations, and mining stations. Construction ship is doing nothing at the moment. Is there anything that we can grab early on? So galaxy priority. So what kind of resources do we have? We sort by distance. Probably going to look for another source of Caslon if we can find it. Not at the moment. So there's Caslon there. 67%. Whereabouts that? So that's sort of out of our system, which is good. So I actually ran into an issue last Let's Play with not having enough Caslon. So I'm definitely going to make sure it doesn't happen this time. I'm actually going to queue up the first source, and then we may actually even get the second. So we're going to send that one to a gas mining station over at the Caslon, or the gas giant that has Caslon, which is good. Make sure that we get lots of fuel and we don't sort of run out of fuel like we did last time, which sort of meant that we sort of couldn't do a whole lot for a little while. So I'm actually going to drop our tax rate back down again. We really want to get this population up as much as we can. Also produced a new scientist, which is quite cool. So it's this one, I think. So it's got high-tech research, and we're going to leave them on our research station, so we get a few boosts to our research there, which is good. Yeah, all good, all going well. So we're going to check out our maintenance here. So what are we spending all our money on? So we've got 3k on our escorts, 5 on our exploration ships, 3 on our construction, 7 on our medium spaceport, 3 on our research, 2 on our resort base. So it's okay. It's not really too much in one area. Obviously our medium spaceport costs a lot. Some people do start in the early game with just a small spaceport and then upgrade. I find it's probably easier just to start with a medium spaceport, and then you don't sort of have to upgrade so much, and you can build a lot more private sector ships and stuff like that more quickly. So that's generally what I do. That's just a preference of mine. You guys can obviously do whatever you want. Population still only 8 billion. It's 8 years into the game, which is not amazing, but given that the circumstances we're playing under, can't really do anything else. Still exploring quite a bit of the galaxy, which is good, or quite a bit of our starting area. I did mention this in the Let's Play. If you're never sure where you've actually explored, anywhere with a sort of a text name around it, or like a number you've actually explored, anywhere that hasn't been explored. Also jump into the galaxy map just by pressing G, and then coming down into the view drop down and come into explored systems, and there you can see we've explored that sort of central area. So that's just a little bit of a good way to keep track of what's happening. Colony, our leader has increased their colony happiness. Yep, colony happiness, which is good. So increasing at 8%, which is, yeah, it's not amazing, it's okay. Fair bit of bonus income from our resort, so 8k this year already, and 3k from our spaceport, which is good. That's why it's definitely better to get, or that's why it was good to get our resort base up and running quite quickly. So we've got 80k of humans on our resort base, which is good. And yeah, everything's going well. Exploration ship under attack from an Ardalis. But they're running away. So Ardalisii, I don't really know how you pronounce them, the plural of them, they can actually hyperdrive, or no, actually they obviously don't have hyperdrive, they're like monsters, but they can actually travel between systems. So they can, in theory, actually follow you between systems. So something to be aware of if you see them. I think we should be okay. And everything else is going pretty well. I don't really see that we need to do anything else than what else, anything different than what we're doing at the moment. Completed advanced nuclear fission, so we got a new reactor, which is good. Construction ship has built a gas mining station over here. It's an ocean moon and another ocean moon, so we can't colonize those. It's a bit disappointing. Going to grab our construction ship and automate them, so they should come back. Build a mining station. There we go. It's good. And how's our other construction ship going? Yep, so they're both building things, so that's good. So we've got 2 sources of Caslon now, which is good. So something I sort of, like I mentioned, sort of let go in the last game. Didn't focus on enough, which I should have. Make sure it doesn't happen in this game. So if you're never sure, if you're ever unsure about what you need, jump into the expansion plan and look at your resources up here. And then come down to sources and sort of sort by that. And you sort of run through, and you're going to need, obviously, need as many sources of Caslon as you can get, and things like steel, carbon fiber, and all that. You should have multiple sources of all of those. Iridium, so we've only got 1 source of carbon fiber and iridium. Given that we've just actually, and steel, but given that we've only just went out in the system, that's not really too much to worry about. Especially later on in the game, you're going to want multiple sources of all these types of things. These sort of standard resources and strategic resources. Luxury resources are a little bit different. You generally won't have huge numbers of sources of supply of those because they are very rare. But yeah, so let our construction ships do their own thing. They're generally pretty good at deciding what to build. But if we actually, here we go, like I mentioned, guys, here's the Artilus. So I reckon this has actually followed us from another system. So we've got our escorts over here, and they're coming over here. They're probably going to take out a few of our ships. Actually, there we go. Took care of that, so that's good. So it had a bit of damage, so they're actually going to come back and repair. Yeah, so like I said, that Artilus actually followed us from this system out here, so that's fine. We took care of that with fairly limited problems. System map for 2000, no thank you. So system map is obviously just one system, so it's, I don't really think it's worth it. You're really only after galaxy maps, and at the moment we can't get any of those. So our money's actually going okay, given that we've had a fair bit of bonus income, so I think that's what's pretty much sort of kept us afloat. Nearly up to 9 billion population, which is good. Our first fleet has finished repairing, which is good, so we're just going to keep them around our planet. And apart from that, everything's going well. 28 minutes on the episode now, guys. We've seen exploration ship from a pirate faction, I assume. So we're getting out there a fair way. Looks like we're sort of starting to run out of places to go, though. So we may need to sort of look at that a little bit soon. Maybe add some standard fuel cells, some better fuel cells on our ships. But we'll sort of see that a bit later. So just going to jump in. I assume that it was actually like a new component. So if you jump into our exploration ship, manually upgrade. Oh no, they actually do have standard fuel cells, so they're already upgraded by themselves. So that's good. So it must have been like an improvement to an existing component. So that's good. We don't have to worry about doing that. So we've now completed research into tractor beams, which is good. So we've now got tractor beams. We're going to put those on our starports and our mining stations quite soon. I think what we're going to get next is the next level of blasters and missiles. Then we're going to, actually we need to get point defense, and then we can get missiles. So we'll get beam weapons, point defense, then railguns, then improved missile. Then we'll come down, probably get better alloys, and then armored ground assault. But we'll sort of see how the game plays out if we need to make any adjustments when we meet people and all that kind of stuff. So lots of bonus income, 10k for our resort. So definitely a very good choice, or very quite lucky, I guess, to have this sort of in our system. It's sort of keeping us afloat and allowing us to build up our population and our home planet quite quickly. Otherwise, we would have had to sort of keep stopping to tax our planet. So that's very, very good. Another intelligence agent. So we've got 3 now. So we're just going to put them on counterintelligence until cancelled. So that's good. We'll be able to get quite a bit of information, hopefully, from when we start meeting other empires, get their galaxy maps and things like that. So that should be quite good. Do we have any research places? We've got plus 30% there for energy, plus 16 for energy, plus 15 for high tech, plus 15 for high tech, 12 for high tech, and 9 for research. Nothing too amazing yet. Actually got another resort location. Whereabouts is that? It's actually up there. I'm actually quite tempted to actually build another resort up there quite soon. It's plus 32% scenery. And that could be like another source of income. Generally, I wouldn't on the lower levels, but given that we are playing on extreme, it may actually be worth it. Because this resort over here is getting us a lot of extra income, so that is really, really good. So quite tempted to do that. Might leave it for a little bit. This one's actually got no mission though, so whereabouts are you? Whereabouts are you? You're just there. So I'm actually going to queue you up to build a resort base on over here. So queue up a resort base there, and that means our construction ship, yep, he's going over there to do that now. So that is absolutely brilliant. Cool. So actually this has history of the human. So this as another empire has actually discovered this from a ruin. So it just gives us a bit of background on our thing, and it also increases happiness for all empires of the human race, of which we are. So that's really good. So we're going to have increased happiness, which is good. So if we can jump into our home planet, and we actually got plus 48 happiness, and yeah, so that's pretty good. Quite high happiness, which is good. So 31 minutes. May just run it for a little bit longer to see what happens, guys. Still got enough money or cash flow, which is good. Well, actually, cash flow is negative. We've got enough money in hand, which is what we want really. And that's good. So everything's going pretty well in this first couple of episodes. Haven't met anyone yet. 10 years into the game. We've pursuing the wrong path in enhanced shields, so that's going to slow down that quite a bit. Just a bit of a bummer. Pirates secretly funded to attack an empire. The Ancient Guardians have... I always like these. The Ancient Guardians do this a lot. They actually hired a pirate faction to attack another pirate faction. So we're going to keep the information to ourselves. We don't want to warn the pirate faction or annoy the Ancient Guardians. So we will do that. Not a lot is happening, guys. We're at 32 minutes. I'm going to put a pause here and put a cut in the video. Hope you've enjoyed this episode. Definitely have some more coming up quite soon, and hope you stay around and stick around for the series. And if you've liked this video and the series so far, it would be amazing if you could subscribe to the channel and also like the video. So that would be enormously appreciated. But for now, I hope you've all had a wonderful day from wherever you are watching from, and I'll see you all soon.